If you don't do a forensic audit, how do you know how much
Do you have
was
any
the
ID
estate
on you?
screwed out of?
Do you have any ID on you? El Diablo. Everybody needs some love. Defalcation attorney. What's your name? Yes, it is. Who you looking for?
What's your name?
Yes, it
It's
is.
not my name.
What's your name? Yes, it is.
Yes,
Who are you looking for? We're looking for Michael Garand. That guy's dead. I never heard of him. What's my name? You just said it. I'm okay with that. I did acceptance. You? What are you talking about?
Well, it wasn't a question, it was a statement.
You said
What's
that.
your name? Okay, I'll accept that.
Sure, why not?
Holy fuck, yeah. I mean,
Call me what?
shit.
Well,
Michael
there's
Garand, you've been
also,
charged with such and such, and you're coming over the threshold. I know you usually go like this. It doesn't matter. And now you're in. The game has begun. The battle is on.
there's also the.
I'm not Michael Garand. You can call me number one in here. Go ahead.
Call me
You
what?
can call me number one.
Call me number one.
Yeah.
Anytime you don't, I won't listen.
Perfect.
I thought your name was what?
That's your thought.
No,
It's
my
my
thought,
You trying to hold me at your house?
You just won't listen.
And you owe me dinner.
Well, no, they told you that your name, what's your name, they said.
So I'm just here to
So
share
should
love.
address you as what?
And you mentioned inquiry or audit.
Yeah.
They do inquiries and audits very thoroughly. Defalcation attorneys. I talked to this guy, Canadian American, long time ago. That'll be $50,000 for a retainer for a defalcation process.
Defalcation.
Do you remember the National Mobility Agreement? Agreement is a settlement, isn't it? They're all in agreement for auditing purposes because they don't want this issue.
Well, then.
And they have the word defalcation right there.
So basically, you don't even have to request a forensic audit from the court. Who is this here, this group?
This is the Canada's legal recruitment firm.
So that's not the guys in Delaware, but the guys
No,
in Delaware.
Delaware is right here, and it's corporate law through Delaware. It's Selectica that has purchased the investments at Fidelity, so they can resell them. This is Davies, Ward, Phillips, and Weinberg.
But basically, if you request it, if you go to Delaware and you say, I request, I need an appeal or an audit,
Yeah.
they should actually have it right there. They should know what was paid out to the court, what was paid out to
The
the
Chris
parties.
system.
Find it out real quick.
The
They
Chris
should know what's
system.
left,
Yeah.
yeah, they should know what's
Yes.
left over that's
Yeah.
owed the estate.
Yeah.
They should be able to tell you right away.
The Chris system. Court registry investment system.
Yeah, but the court isn't necessarily going to respond, whereas these guys will.
No, but it's an auditing issue, isn't it? So you're going to the auditor, and
Oh,
you're right, they
and
would have
asking
that
them to
value
audit.
understanding because they're dealing with blue book entries.
And you can simply ask them to audit the CRIS system to find out what is due the estate, because you haven't heard from the court.
My
With each
entitlement
check.
at that juncture is to call on Form 106 for passing of accounts. I'm asking for an invoice on all these transactions. And I have that right.
Form
Oh, and I
106.
have a 10-year-old divorce case down in court. Yeah.
This is
That'd be
rules,
interesting.
Yeah,
to know
and they
that.
fall back to
Just on
forms.
And you
Remember I
back-
had Form NOCC? That's Form 1,
Yeah.
Notice of Civil Claim.
Notice of civil claim?
Is a form.
Yeah, okay.
We're
NOCC.
staying civil.
Form one, and
NOCC is.
Yeah.
Form one, you talk about it in, I don't get the Form one. Form two is information, Form one, is that what you're talking about?
Well, Form 2 would be response or rebuttal to Form 1. And then a 3 is an amendment to the
Oh, okay,
response,
we're
and
not
a
talking
4,
about
and they
form
just
number.
keep bringing it up and making it in their favor unless you pull it in your favor. But Form 1 is a process of staying civil to implement a criminal charge if necessary for non-response. You took something without my permission. Produce my permission in signed written agreement form, show me the note, or you're now liable for return.
So that's the intellectual property rights, it's
IP.
actually the signature.
Because everybody's dead. Dead guy can't speak, he's a corporation, he's dead, he got no lips. You need some chicken fiction lips in there. That's your paperwork.
And that's the intellectual property rights.
IP issue, always coming back to an appeal process through Delaware.
And they will do your audit of the CRIS system.
Philadelphia is an interesting place.
That's
They
where the lawyers
declare-
come from.
They declared bankruptcy 2 years ago, even though they were a non-profit state.
Pennsylvania. No.
Because they have never been underwater. So they are at the high benchmark, not the low benchmark. Do you understand minority and majority? They hold the majority, you become the minority. Their position is to protect the best interest of the estate. The dead guy's position. If you're taking the dead guy's position, they must protect yours.
That's it.
And that falls under IP, and IP becomes seeking agreement.
That's only if you're acting in the capacity of the executor of the dead.
In an inimical fashion. Not trying to get ecumenical. Thank you. That you're not trying to get payment, you're just trying to pay it off.
You're trying to settle all
Settle,
accounts, and you
settle.
want the estate protected, so you need the forensic audit, so you know what's due the estate, because once it's settled, you wanna make sure the estate doesn't get screwed either, you're just doing your job.
Correct.
And doing it very well.
And you're
By collecting
usurping the
that-
judge's position. There's a bit of danger for him and his courthouse.
Because now he's liable for any breach.
Because he does understand soon he will have to go to his vacation land, because he will have no office to operate from. We do understand Jonathan expressing the fact that the EOL has closed certain courthouses. They've come after people saying, please open the courthouse again. That's where we're at with this. We're accelerating the outcome. This
Yes,
is what
that's what's
you
happening
want.
today.
So you said Form 106 is a
Years
Supreme
ago.
Court form.
Yes, Supreme Court form, because
106.
yeah. These are just the rules, not the forms. You have them in the back of your book. They may have been repealed. What's Form 106 in yours? Please. Looking for the one that says passing of accounts. I know the modern one in the civil rules. You'll notice this says the law courts, Ward Street, Nelson, and this one doesn't have.
Forms of charges, or what?
Excuse me?
Forms of charges?
Which form are you looking for?
Forms of charges, it's in the,
Yeah.
mine's in brown.
Oh, brownie. I got the green.
I just got good
Oh,
old black.
those things, yeah, okay, that's where I was talking about, that's where you find Form 2.
Mac, I asked you yesterday if these forms that you've seen like the EOLs and anything like that, if they were extra long
Yeah.
or bigger in a sense, so that when they're in the file, this look like a normal piece of paper in width and length. But that makes it stand out. Or colors make it stand out. I've been told that an EDP is best off on robin blue egg paper.
Yeah, and bond paper.
That
You can't
sticks
get
out.
legal size Robin's Blue Egg bond paper in Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Is that 8.5 by 11.5 is what you're saying,
By
legal
14.
size? Or by 14, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I find that strange because I've seen it in other stationery stores in BC.
Is that right?
8.5 by
Canada-
14 bond?
Robin's blue egg paper.
Yeah, in bond?
In bond, yeah.
Well, when you say in bond, what does that
Bond-
mean?
bond.
Bond is 100% cotton paper.
I
Doesn't
don't know
doesn't break
that.
down with oxidation, like.
Is that what it means?
standard
Acid
tape-
free.
standard
And it's got a watermark on it.
It has
Oh,
cotton.
no, I haven't seen ones with watermarks, so
Which gives it some
I don't know
weight.
about that.
But it also.
Uh,
24 pound weight.
I
Is
thought-
what you're.
Yeah, if you buy the 24 pound, I got a bunch of it, I bought it from a
That's from my.
guy in
I'm
Regina.
gonna get
So
some
you're
out.
saying you have some and you live in Canada?
Not the
Yeah.
big, not
Well,
the
not Robin's Egg Blue,
Oh,
You know-
but I do have,
You have-
I have
You just
24 pound,
I've been in the printing
I should
business.
think it would be accessible.
24 pound.
Need to
It is if you know where to go.
That's all.
24 pound cotton legal size.
Well, just tell your printer
Yeah.
to print the blue on it.
So that any time, if I was in court, I could easily see that paper from a distance on whoever's desk, couldn't I?
Yeah.
It was brought in. Or I could hold a copy and say, do you have one of these? Because here's yours if you don't.
Yeah, the executor stuff, they say print all the printing should be in blue.
I've heard that.
Color.
I've heard
We faxed into the courthouse on hit the paper when he went in, and the judge held it up and he couldn't have read it, he changed for that. But it was orange.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, it was on
Orange.
It was on orange paper, but it was on by 8.5 by 11 too. and
You
I-
put it in orange or they changed it?
They changed it.
They put it on orange paper.
Well, they got a color code system too.
'Cause I was
But the whole
reading,
paper was orange.
Yep. So
So
that's
I
fair
was
warning
reading
to
it into
them.
the record and he did not want that happening.
Yeah, this is a.
That's fair warning to them.
Oh,
Yeah, this is.
Redacted files such as mine become red.
Stage it there.
Very.
so that way they don't actually expose it to anybody.
Shit, here comes that guy.
Look at this is red, this is not good.
So Form 106, please?
Firearm or weapon.
Not,
That's
Killing.
not red.
that's killing
Strip of
evidence,
red.
isn't it?
Yeah.
I want the one that says passing of accounts. 107 maybe? Because 106 and 107 in the new modern rules in BC.
Destruction of
No,
firearm,
all firearm,
altering, defacing, or removing a serial number,
That's defacing the mark, the brand.
failure to surrender authorization of license or certificate,
What was the one you were?
failure to deliver or report the finding of a firearm.
Jesus,
I don't know
firearms.
which
Firearm
form
starts
you're
in, starts at like 80, 85.
Ken, what's that section?
And it runs all the way through
Forms
to,
of charges,
No, no, no,
The minute you register a gun, it becomes a firearm, just like registering an automobile becomes a motor vehicle.
It's a
Yeah.
weapon,
Yeah.
a weapon,
Forms of
weapon.
charges.
An instrument of paper can be a weapon.
I would
Yeah.
start at 106.
But they categorize it as a
Yeah,
firearm.
106, 107,
After it's
108.
registered.
Then you're probated
Just
or
reading just now.
prohibited, excuse me.
105.
Yeah, but if you don't register it, it's not a firearm.
well,
But guess what? If I called them up and said, listen, I'm bringing this firearm from A to B on
I'm
this
just reading the
date,
first few
What's the
words
number?
each.
Yeah.
they would give me a license to transport that unregistered arm.
so these are,
And then I could say it never expired because the gun still exists. I don't care about your deadline date. I'm going to enforce it. Was that a little quick, Mac?
so these aren't
Yeah, I
SCR.
understand.
You're not registering it, you're just asking for numbers, so.
Yeah, that's all. Go from one place to another. I've created my own passport. It's all passport law. Pass-through negotiations.
Oh,
If I throw property over your fence, do I have the right to go get it? But I have the right to ask you for it. But if it damaged something when it went over, like broke your window, I gotta make up for that before I have the right of entitlement to ask for it in return. Any injury I must compensate before I create my entitlement. I gotta pay off, then I can hold my office. Passing of accounts is something that's happened without my authority. I'm just presenting the fact that I have the authority to ask for what's mine. And you've created the injury by not giving it back and making me have to ask for it.
That's why you need a forensic audit.
That's why Form 106 and 107 is for you, not against you.
but
You have to.
this says Supreme Court civil rules, but
Civil.
these are criminal.
Criminal.
So, what,
There is no criminal,
Thank you.
Well-
it's all civil.
Thank you.
well, it's sort of, but.
No, well, it is.
Don't ever apologize. Save your power.
No, I'm just saying that these, I just noticed, it looks like this is criminal code, but it says Supreme Court civil rules.
If they're not obliged with
It
it,
doesn't
it's
say
criminal.
form of charges.
No.
No. So what criminal code, because you can go, every code has a form that goes with it, right? Here's 458.
So if somebody can go online at some time and maybe punch in Form 106, Supreme Court rules, see what
That's
comes up.
Or can
BC
we-
Supreme Court, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where I've got mine. I don't know what the equivalency
Oh.
is for Calgary.
SCR, that's BC.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No wonder it doesn't match.
Okay, that's why it doesn't match up.
Oh,
Yeah, you're
we're
right.
Yeah, this is BC rules.
But we're talking civil versus criminal. It's non-criminal until you pass civil. But you, if you've taken something and I have to remain civil, I must give you a civil notice, notice of civil claim. Claim is the strongest word.
Okay, so the NOCC is what you would
So-
send into Delaware.
So they
It could
say,
be. It could be. It's the beginning of an appeal process. You're asking for what is rightfully yours. Excuse me, Tim?
just thinking about that, so they say, claim means strongest word,
Yeah,
because of the, that's known to Americans and lawyers, right?
that's an allegation.
The claim is known to Americans and lawyers,
Yeah.
which means that there are other words that are not necessarily known to them, right?
Yep.
Which have maybe more power than claim.
Hmm.
So as far as we're aware, claim is the strongest word in the law, language of the law.
Yet, does the dead guy have the right to claim it?
No,
Until he pronounces his negligence of, my mistake, I'm alive. You guys were looking at me as if I was dead. Now I need you to look at me that I'm alive.
can't
No
see
longer.
you.
And if not, it's my mistake and I'm at fault.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
It's the name is
Negligence.
alive in their jurisdiction.
It is.
What is the problem is that the officer in charge is absent, the office is vacant. So they're administrating the legal person because nobody's come back. So it's the man who comes and says, my mistake, I've been absent, didn't know, I should have told you, I'm here, I'm alive, don't deem me dead, don't deem me absent, don't deem the office vacant.
EDP does that. EOL does that.
Yeah, but
does.
there's a little crossover on those things, but they each have a specific function.
Yep.
The EDP rebuts claims the issue because either the Vatican or the Church of England is asserting a claim. Okay.
There's the
But-
counterclaim of settlement of living versus dead. They have entitlement on the dead scrolls. You have entitlement on the live scrolls. Rota, sacred rota.
Okay, well, the Queen's throne is actually known as the Chair of Estates. Okay.
Yep.
So,
Because she holds all the underlying title to the land for those estates.
well,
It's all held under the Sovereign Sovereign.
Okay, I'm gonna float a question here, because I was floating through this 106 and I saw 124, selling or purchasing office. So if someone's shuffling, you've got the executor office, like the executor office, right? So it says, everyone who purports or sells or agrees to sell an appointment or resignation from an office, or consent to any appointment or resignation, or receives or agrees to receive a reward or profit from the purported sale thereof, or purports to purchase or gives rewards or profit for the purchase,
yeah.
purported purchase or appointment. So yes, but what happens when they're sliding your paperwork around for monetary easements?
Well, that's fine. They're doing it as trustees under Cestui Que Vie trust law because the executor hasn't stepped forward. The office is vacant. The executor and the heir, and in fact not the beneficiary, they're all absent. The beneficiary is the legal person named, and it exists, and they can see it. They can't see you. You haven't come forward. See, it's really a notice from without Canada.
Yeah.
Of the existence of a man that doesn't exist within Canada.
United States minor outlying island.
That's what they want
So
to
what?
island. So, now you were saying EDP, rebut claim, like this is part of the process
What
there.
is 125?
So
Actually, you're gonna
EDP
have to-
rebuttal of claim.
Influencing or negotiating
We're on a
appointment
thought there.
or
We're going to finish that.
dealing in offices. This is section 125 of the criminal code.
Yeah, you can't sell an office.
Here's what
It's
we're talking about. Influencing or negotiating appointments of dealing in office. I'll let the judge talk all he wants. Excuse me, for the sake of clarity, are you trying to influence or negotiate an appointment or dealing in offices?
Because of the executor issue.
That's
But only if you come forth with your notice that you are the executor.
That's
Well, that would be
mandatory
your
step.
letters testamentary.
Qualifying method. If not, where you're dealing with an intangible, you need to make it tangible.
Yeah, this doesn't work for anybody unless they take their office.
Right.
Then this is a checkbook.
That's what
And
you
in the,
Good! Bingo! Ring the bell, you did it. You did it.
and in the public, an office exists because somebody's taken an oath to exercise the authority, the protocols of the
And
office.
you have to exercise the protocols and say, yo, I'm back.
No, well, it's whatever you do. I mean, you swear an oath. I swear or pledge to perform the protocols. That's all their office says. An oath of office, you know? I swear that I will execute the office of judge to the best of my ability according to the protocols of that office. And
In
then
the
they
best
sign it.
public
They file a
interest.
witness. In the best public interest.
And private.
Well, for an executor, I suppose it would be.
Let me cover both.
Duly.
Duly authorized, yeah.
I don't want you to put me back in
182.
and I don't want to go there.
Sorry, 182 is?
Go to 182.
Dead body.
Are you offering indignities to the dead guy, Judge? Because I got no problem with that.
Everyone,
I just indemnified and offered immunity. What do you want the dead guy to sign?
everyone who, A, neglects without lawful excuse to perform any duty that is imposed upon him by the law or that he undertakes with reference to the burial of a dead human body or human remains, or B, improperly or indecently interferes.
Interferes.
interferes, sorry,
So
with or, oh, sorry.
No, you go ahead.
With or offers any indignity to a dead human body or human remains, whether buried or not, is guilty of an indictable offense and liable to imprison for a term not exceeding 5 years.
Do we know what an indictment value is? What is the difference between summary and indictment?
Indictments have got the bill behind it, and summarily they don't, hasn't got the same,
It's under $5,000 and it's over $5,000.
yeah.
The bond, you mean?
Summary deposition will create that funeral, and it's worth about $4,000 to bury somebody.
Leaving 1,000 waste.
Thank you. You're in trouble for the waste management issue.
Waste management.
So they call the money left on the table waste.
Si, senor. I will take it and purchase another plot just in case we go through this again, and I'll give you the bill. Because I don't want to offer indignities to the dead guy.
No, you don't want to get charged.
Thank you.
And then have to do an acceptance and go through the whole process again. In fact, once they realize that you know this, they might start issuing charge after charge just because they know you'll pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, guess what?
But
I'm
then you
gonna
bring
put
the
in
provost
one.
marshal in and going,
Maybe I'll just get somebody to carry in a silver dollar with my agreement in hand and give it to the sheriff. Get a receipt. Now I've created a poundage fee charge. I've opened up a trust.
I like.
Poundage fee
Then-
substance.
yeah, and that one's.
Oh, was that a poundage fee?
Yeah, to the sheriff. So
Poundage fee.
I've made a purchase on the bond. So I wanted to put it in trust in the sheriff's hands.
So that there will be no charges unless they're
I've
justified.
deputized the deposition. Please send it to the IRS. The remainder, don't waste it, manage it, or you're liable for risk management. Because the judge is dead, clerk of the court dead, all them dead. Deputized is common law alive on the land now. Because the community created his office.
Civilization, pre-civil, community civil,
Yeah.
like however.
It was by agreement across the board. All shares were in agreement. All shareholders made the same investment.
Let's back up here on that. What we're gonna need out of all this is a process.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to decide on what forms are going to have to be created, the
Yes.
form they're gonna take, and we have to agree, basically, at least in principle today, on what content is gonna be there. Now, if most of us are here, I mean, you might have to get the video after the fact or whatever we do tomorrow. But if we can agree on this today, at least, you know, that way everybody.
Got
can
my
have
vote.
some-
Well, this is what
some
we're here to do
input.
today.
Yeah, now we can start cutting some wood.
Yeah.
Right, we
We
want
can-
everything that, whatever's required to do the whole enchilada, like, okay, the EOL, and like some of those plans that you mentioned yesterday, they've got a specific purpose in place. Each of the different plans have got to be combined, just what all they were, where all they go, and then we get to fill in each of them pieces as we go.
Then how about if we do it this way? I see that you brought your paperwork with you. Do you mind?
No, no,
He
no.
asked me that question, I thought it was a good idea, good. Yeah. Pull that EO or
I have
EOL
some
apart.
of the other paperwork, like Arts had the settlement agreement in it.
You didn't get to this.
Ah, thank you. I'll let you finish, please go
Oh,
ahead.
I also have Arts settlement agreement, we agreed we could use it if necessary, it's on the computer. So I'll have to read it out if necessary, but let's start with what you've got there right now, after we've done this coronation stuff here. And then we can go from there to decide first form and then content. Because I firmly believe, once we establish our standing, return from the dead, by the way, that's called corporiety revenant. That's a ghost who appears, or a man thought dead who comes back from the dead.
I love that. That's a nugatory discharge to a degree of dealing with it, but then the value's there. When you come back, you go, all right.
Are we
But
gonna-
you want to designate yourself.
Excuse me?
Are we
as-
gonna have a crucifixion.
Every day.
Well, it's,
If you take two if you want.
Is this where we're gonna get someone crucified? A dead person?
Yes.
We're good.
It's called the second to die clause in the insurance policy world. There's a product code number for that. I did bring it to Edward Jones, and he's, I can't see that. Okay, you're dead.
In 3 days we rise in the flesh.
Yeah, that's not crucifixion, that's resurrection.
Yeah.
Resurrection. That's when we're gonna.
well, that's what's happening this
After.
period of time.
Yes, and the legal term is called reversionary. The clerk of the court is the reversionary. He stands at the shoreline waiting for you to come home every day. He didn't come home today.
That's why they hold hearings. They're
Yes,
hoping to hear from you.
I hope so.
No shit.
But an arraignment day is for a marriage. It's an arranged marriage. You're gonna come in and marry your straw man and accept and own and deal with the liabilities? Or you're gonna deny your spousal payments for maintenance to cure the issue?
No, that don't work.
There'll be no baiting and fucking here.
Not until after the arraignment and everybody signs the wedding contract, the wedding.
Yeah, well, if not, if you don't have a certificate for the marriage, then you're obviously in trouble for feigning a marriage, aren't you?
There you go.
That's another indictment. In '05, we had a thing happen called the Peace Coronation. Major celebrities were there. President of the US, highball, elitists. But the coronation of peace happened in Korea, and the name of the family
Sun Young Moon?
I think.
No,
Yeah.
Sun
Moon or Moon?
Mm.
Double Moon? Yeah, Sun Young Moon. I don't know. She
And?
trash. People sucking.
Yeah, he's the son of some young guy. That's
Sun Myung.
Guilt.
Yam in front of the line.
Guilt bonds.
Some young guy.
I like that.
You got that?
Not necessarily. There's no you in the guilt.
You know, 69 years in China.
What's a guilt in pig language there, Al?
Tukuchu.
What's a guilt in a pig language? That's a
G-I-L-T.
neutered male, isn't it?
That's a gelding.
No.
But in
Pig
pig,
language,
not horse.
hogs,
The-
agriculture.
Huh. I didn't know that.
Oh,
So he cannot reproduce.
Yeah.
He's obviously
He's being
A guilt is a
He's a
neutered,
guilt nut.
a guilt, yeah, it's a neutered little pig.
so he can't reproduce for war purposes. He must reproduce for
peace purposes.
each.
Nation.
Or nation.
Because he's under covenant. He's correcting the nation's issues, aiming towards peace. He's avoiding the guilt, but that's where the fund comes from, the funding, to make the operations occur. In time, Korea will lose that position. Part of the planet, countries that have had war, they get the funding from the liquidation of those wartime bonds.
Yeah, that's why all these countries get built up after the wars.
Yeah.
Germany, Japan.
So we are all, once again, like I said yesterday, under the HART Act. Heroes earning assistance retirement tax. The retirement tax is the issue. The soldiers have been retired. And the taxes from the investments of the interests of these estates running in the back room, the Sestaki trusts, we all have entitlement to release them towards payments and or restitution in some fashion. That's a military term. So I'm the land, I'm the nation, and if it needs restitution, I must present the injuries, maybe my teeth, some kind of physical thing, health, heart. They have the heart of the matter right now. Celebrities have been there. They've united consciously. And there's a family in charge at this juncture.
What happened here?
That was many years ago. So the odds are every 5 years it's going to another country. That's how OMBs operate, the windows. And we got the 3-year window safe harbor when it comes to the settlement market of cashing out a death certificate. So it won't affect the pool bond. It's going to be reimbursed. Because not too many are going to tap into that market, although we're getting there.
Yeah.
Well,
And Germany is in charge of the release.
on death certificates?
Settlement bonds.
Alienwaldmacht.
Alien vault.
The authenticity of the real individual in charge by entitlement.
So heart is heroes earning
assistance, retirement tax. That's tapping into our RRSPs and IFs before they come to fruition. If I go on the door, I'm taking dividends out of those investments. That's all I'm doing. It's improper contracting, but the irony of it all, when you get a contract with the social service system, you have an impressed account. An impressed account is equivalent to, let's say I had a store and I had a float, $250. You work for me, I need some stationery, please on the way back to the office, could you pick me up a whole bunch of paper and some pens? You bring me the receipt, $100 expense, I put the receipt in the drawer, I give it a cash. That $250 never affects my income, it must stay at $250 at the end of the day.
It's like a float.
It's a float, it's an impressed account. Just like they give you in welfare, but you don't know its value. You're collecting the dividends off the return of the investments of these life insurance policies.
Yeah.
When they die, the policy, not the person. So when they die, to put it in proper terms, is when it gets a new QSIP by merging into another event on the market. The par market value changes. But it must remain in peace. And so, since Germany, they've done an IBM contract, international business machine, for the Auschwitz with those tag numbers. They cashed them out and they're on the shelf in reserve for payment.
I just got something else.
Hey,
here.
clickety-boo.
Par value, when we're making the acceptance, it has to be par value, there's your overpayment right there.
Oh, sweet. 93 cents, 7 cents.
6.8 cents instead of a dollar.
97%
There's
more.
your overpayment right there, you don't have to change the number, you just have to accept
Say
the
par value.
Thought that when you said it, that's what I was thinking. If you put it at par value, the acceptance, you give them a shitload more than what they're asking for.
And ask where the party's gonna be. Like, where's the barbecue with this extra?
And now that you got some money, shouldn't you, is there some moral duty under your conscience to give me some of that back now?
I use the word signatory rather than signature, because a signatory,
As a sovereign.
and he's also a member of the UN as a nation. He's
Yes, well,
recognized.
okay, just a quick back out part all ties in. United Nations section for definitions of words. First word, treaty,
Is it?
an agreement between
They don't start in
sovereign
alphabetical?
nations.
They don't
Treaty, just treaty.
Is it?
Definitions of words, very first word, treaty, an agreement between two sovereign nations, period.
That's all.
But any international agreement can be called a treaty.
Yes.
So it's a treatise, though, technically, not a treaty. You can call it a
Pluralized.
treaty.
Pluralized.
The reason being, because what is a sovereign nation? Naturality, it's when you have a matriarchal system. Clans make up a tribe is a
This is
sovereign
important.
nation.
This is the value of mother and father.
Yes, because the men uphold the law, the women are the law. And this is what they're using against us.
That's right. We're one big
This is
family.
what
We
they're
gotta accept
using.
our spousal's decision.
But they're imitating it. Because they're persons, and private persons being the ones that are running.
Well,
the
and it
rest of
just
the persons
made
are
reference
who they are.
to the straw man is her, the vessel.
So we need to
Precisely.
respect
I pointed this out to
her
Al.
wishes,
Her wishes.
Yeah, well, look.
but she's gotta
that's-
respect our share in decision making.
Yeah.
That's right here in his equity one I was reading last night. Remember how it said something about her and being the party.
Executrix holds 51, executor 50, or 49.
And the executrix is the strong man.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, that's right.
She makes plural,
Her
you stay
obligations.
singular.
She's
She's
your
masculine and feminine in French.
It just makes more sense.
Masculine is singular, feminine is plural because she can reproduce.
Yeah, it's right here.
You're the input to the manufacturer, and the byproduct is the children.
I just want to make a distinction here too. Okay, if you're coming in as the executor, basically what you're doing is you're saying you're alive. If you bring them under their statutes and their oath, that's in their jurisdiction. Like you were saying, you can also bring them under their conscience.
I think that's a
That's
better position,
into-
because their oath can be.
No, it's not better.
Well,
They're
just
both.
necessarily that if
Oh,
they're
You're pulling
masons.
in the two offices here.
Yeah, but I'm just leading up to, because if they're masons, they take that Colm Indra, and that
Yeah,
Colm
well,
Indra
mostly
validates all their
Oh,
own
it's
oaths.
a
Yeah.
route.
So
It's actually a
it's not a Masonic part of the Masonic requirement?
No, not to my knowledge, I believe that's misquoted.
You need to recognize the
That's
family
what-
in a rank and file process.
Okay, you also can come, because the thing is, the man is coming from without Canada.
Yes,
And the name is within Canada.
yes.
Okay, so if you establish
Just read that.
these
That's what
treaties
the green is.
as your precedent for the man to have authority outside,
Bridge mechanism,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
bridging mechanism, private with.
now, yeah, okay, but you're also doing treaties between sovereign nations, and then you go in at the same time, you deal nation to nation.
Yeah.
You, as part of a clan, or yourself, dealing with the nation of Canada, and then you're also coming in to deal with the state of Canada, okay? So now what you're doing is you are actually establishing precedents outside, their oath under conscience, the treaties which apply, and then you come into Canada where their oath of office and their statutes apply. And
You're
if
using
you-
international law to supersede domestic.
Which is what it's
Exactly.
meant to be, because it does.
Correct.
Domestic law of Canada is second law.
What is UN? United.
Nations, not United States. Yeah. See, and the thing here is that by doing it that way, you're binding them under their oath of office, what they're doing in the public, and you're binding them under statute, what they're obliged to do in the public, and that was in order to bind them to the nation so that they don't breach, because Her Majesty the Queen for Canada is the nation, whereas Her Majesty and Right of Canada is the state.
What am I looking at, bud? Which one? The green, the new green?
Yeah.
What do we got?
Her or
Example, equity will not grant relief, such as specific performance of a contract for the repair of a damaged loading dock. If the tenant is in breach of her obligation, that's
her obligation.
Steve Dorn and Lighterage fees.
Like,
Steve Dorn and Lighterage fees are for cure and maintenance, such as failure to pay according to the terms of agreement. When I pull a boat into the shore and I want to dock it or moor it, if it's at a station or something, as soon as I pull in, I've got security. And if I need some kind of power to the boat or some lighterage at night time to continue that security, cure and maintenance, it's being held by the dock, because it's docked, and I've agreed to that automatic 2-point contract. Steve Dorn and Lighterage, these are just family names that have had certain cases dealing with shipping, and they've created the precedent points of, yes, these are an automatic 2 fees that will happen, like it or lump it. When you're pulling into my shore, you gotta pay me to level out our negotiation field.
Is that Steve's or
Steve Dorr, and
Steve
like
Dorn.
a Steve Dorr.
Steve
Steve
Dorn.
Dorn.
Steve Dorr, Ian.
Steve Dorian. It's all one word.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a Steve Dorr is the guy that actually ties your ship to the dock, okay? A Steve Dorr. He's the guy who's in charge of the guys offloading the stuff with a crane or whatever off your ship.
Longshoreman in modern terms.
Yeah.
Steve Doran.
Steve, D-O-R-E, Steve, D-O-R-E is a Steve Dorr, and then A-N on the end of that word would be Steve Doran or Steve Dorian.
Doran and Lightage.
Lighterage.
Light or
Lighterage.
So that's lighting at night.
Yes.
Light
Light or rich.
Yeah. These
Okay,
are old
and see-
terms, shipping terms, but I'm sure there's modern terminology, but that's what they recognize in the commercial world.
Yeah, they're admiralty terms. The fact is, these fall, by the way, under the,
Bless you. Excuse me?
What's that?
these fall, by the way, under the heading of either like attorney's fees or warehouse fees. Those are
Yes, because
warehouse
it's under the Shipping Act, and what is Canada truly? A body of water,
Right.
And those are
inland
actually,
water.
Internal waters and territorial waterways.
Yeah.
those are warehouse fees,
What are you
not
aiming at?
attorney's fees.
Where he's just highlighting it, the
Yeah.
specific one they're bringing up is the
Yeah,
actual.
docking
what
fees or
gender is the
warehouse
word on
fees.
it, just above
The
it?
warehouse.
It says her obligations.
Right.
Yeah, and we got plural,
Because we were
double
talking
plural
factually
actually.
now.
Yes.
Back to where you were at.
Just anybody has
Yes.
some eyes to
Just
see
think in
and
terms of
perspective. Yeah. Well, it's all admiralty, everything,
Okay,
Can you
maritime.
take the dead guy's position and recognize the dead guy's signature?
domestic. Admiralty.
Thank you.
Any-
Can Rich?
Can you become the dead guy and recognize the dead guy's signature?
Sign for them all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Because they,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
In our security agreements for UCC 1, do we have a thing known as 2-104 subsection 39 and 3-401B? So when debtor accepts creditor's signature as payment in full, is the dealio done?
yeah, full accord
So
and
the dead,
satisfaction.
the live guy's taking the dead guy's position to recognize his signature. He's the only one that can do a TVC. True, verified, and complete. This is the end of the game here. Alien Volt Macht.
See.
Authentic signatory.
And if you actually cite that when you're handing in an instrument,
Oh, hot
you know,
water.
you
Big,
tell them,
big.
well, you tell them the executor is doing this in pursuant to UCC such or Bills of Exchange Act such. You're serving notice on them of the fact that blah, blah, blah.
I would recommend the international bills of exchange such. Because I don't want to stay in domestic. I want
Let's
it
see what-
recognized through an IAS process.
So you
Because
go
that's
in.
the new
You
CVA
went
rules.
strong.
And look, GAP don't exist anymore.
All you got to understand, Mike, is you're just
Doesn't
changing your
exist anymore?
venues, right?
Yeah.
Canada is domestic. You're not operating in domestic if you're operating at an international level. You forget all about that. You can bring the
You
same
supersede the
protocols
issue.
up to a different level. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just like a paralegal. Paralegal can operate in the domestic courtroom. Paralegal can also operate at the international level. And the difference between a paralegal and a lawyer, an attorney, is a paralegal can do everything that that guy can do.
You know how
His
he's
allegiance
right?
isn't to the bar, so he actually supersedes a lawyer. Most people would think that a paralegal is like a second-rate, something second-rate, when actually it's a superior position. Which is how when you go to court, you're meant to
Gap has
operate
been
actually,
superseded by
take this matter on a pro se base as a paralegal.
IS.
But you gotta understand, when you,
Pro se
International
without
counsel.
attorney.
when you're doing your settlement, you're bringing it in from outside Canada, but the settlement actually is, it's effected in
We're dealing
Canada.
with
Via
contiguous estates.
the transmitting utility.
Yes,
Not
well, that's exactly what your legal
What it
person
is.
name is,
Right.
and it's the utility to do
And
that.
that's section
But
37.
you're gonna have
IAS
international
37.
law.
Yep.
Okay.
IAS.
Then you're going to have underneath that nominally, admin.
What do you do? Yeah, it's admiralty.
National accounting standards.
That's
Yeah,
Admiralty
yeah.
is actually the agreement between nations, maritime law is
Right,
insurance.
is that what you're saying? GAP is replaced by
Yes,
IAS.
except for-
Which is that?
No, because admiralty is the domestic.
Hey, guys.
for this issue.
Well, no.
Hey,
Let's pay attention.
Judicial independence, the decision by the new government to televise questioning of the new Supreme Court Justice Marshall Rothstein by members of Parliament placed the public perception of the impartiality of our judges at risk. This is their new rules. If it's a non-financial issue, and you're trying to claim a financial penalty against me, and all I ask is money and colorable, did I create a settlement by a counterclaim?
That form.
Oh, I get it. So, you get a parking ticket, there's no damages done, someone's putting $40 to say, pay me,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And you're going in
I'll pay
there,
you with 50. That's $10 down for the next round. It's running interest at $30 a second. I will not. I do not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend it to my death.
Voltaire.
Done. Back to Germany.
You have a precedent, by the way, if you settle it and they impede your commercial rights, that's President versus City of Tampa, 1984.
3603C of the Uniform Commercial Code. Everything's been codified. Everything. All our intercourse.
Okay, the thing here, the reason I'm thinking that you
In a few
have,
minutes, we're going to pull out that EOL and we're going to tear it apart.
if you cite every form of law, international, admiralty, common law, every jurisdiction as you're doing your paperwork, your settlement might come in from outside and you want to cite your authority under international law. But the settlement is effected domestically within Canada
Yeah.
after the signature happens.
Actually,
But you got burial fees outside Canada and burial fees within Canada.
Mhm.
It's Form 83, but in the new SCR rules, it's Form 99. Because I brought a dead guy in to sign for it. That's how we go. I said in front of the clerk of the court, I'm just gonna get the dead guy to sign his caveat, okay? I love when you come in, Michael, I learn all the time. Can you get me that file 1975? How you doing, Gary? Good. Can you give me that file 1975? He goes, that's the last time I was happy, Michael. It's the last time I was happy, Michael. We banter a lot.
And this guy you're talking to,
Is the master clerk of the court?
he's the court administrator.
Yes.
Yeah. Remember you send your stuff to the court administrator?
Gary, have you heard of Chris? Next thing, he's on the computer. Gary, did you know that you can get in trouble for Chris? And of course he brought the sheriff in. Hey, y'all heard of the UCC code? You might want to check out 48207. I'll leave you with that. Misdescription of beneficiary.
48207?
Yes.
We talked about it yesterday.
I ain't dead.
No. it was
Till
not.
I am. I do not propose because I'm not a prospectus.
Do you want to hear it again?
Yeah, no, it's about
4A to 48207.
Dash 207?
under constructive trust in the court case, they deemed the claimant the beneficiary. It's within your own Cesta KV trust for the estate where your name is the beneficiary.
Yes.
So they haven't really misrepresented who the beneficiary is unless you've come forward as the executor.
Remember we talked about Yom Kippur, the day of Rav? I must ask forgiveness of the people. That's the claimant. Then I must ask forgiveness of God. It's not really the judge.
Current maintenance thing brings
Yes.
me back to the, when the judge first appears, right? Because there's three times you can go out and come back, right? 3 appearances by the judge, and each one is a different venue, isn't it? The second time he comes back is when you're meant to ask for cure and maintenance, right? What was the...
That's covering Steve Dorn and Lighterage fees.
Yeah, what's the 3, it changes each time.
Third return?
Cure and maintenance, cure and something, and cure and, again, like, each one was different. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah,
what it was.
you're asking for, was it remedy or relief under?
Yes, cure and...
Inequity.
Okay, that was it, yeah,
And
because each time you
cure
go in,
and
it's going to be a
maintenance-
different court,
Cure
yeah.
and maintenance is in admiralty.
Yeah, that
And
was
then
last.
under canon law, you're actually asking forgiveness.
Yes.
That was last, Admiralty was second, and he goes right into equity first.
He's,
Well, you're in equity when you walk into court.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, right into equity first.
he's trying to aim towards Kadai Shari law.
Which?
Kadai Shari.
And what's that punishment?
Islam death.
Off with your head?
You opened your mouth.
Yeah. Off with your head? Got you, you're here.
You're within reach.
Yeah.
You're saying you want to take the dead guy's position. I can help you with that.
Yeah.
And I can get paid for that.
I can get paid for that.
Excuse me?
Description of beneficiary.
Yes. If we go in and we stay in question form, have we made any statements? Do we still have the option at the end of the game to just plead to the facts? That means how stupid you want to be, you judge. But I got to give notice of appeal because I know you're going to be, and it's not your fault, making choices that will affect my life. In essence, you're interested in the public interest, and I can respect that. And in the best public interest, it is your duty to sink my ship because we are in battle. But to destroy does not mean annihilate. As long as I'm alive, I got a chance. So I'd like to be gracious and offer settlement first before I accept the warring contract. I must stay inimical, or ecumenical, and to stay in communion, and communionize that.
If you have aught with your brother.
proceeding in an ecumenical spirit.
Thank you. Yes.
That's actually
It's good faith, not
tribal custom and
commerce.
usage.
Yes.
That's exactly how our ancestors used to live and the lifestyle that they lived. That's how things were done.
And
Yeah,
nowadays, we're
absolutely.
holding on to a rope, and if you let it go while we're negotiating, who loses?
The guy who let go.
That's all. You leave the battlefield, you've acquiesced to default. If I go into battle and I say reception statute, did I pull in the default mechanism that underwrites the issue? Yeah, man. Common law jurisdiction, not commerce. You're asking me to compensate for an injury that's non-existent. There ain't no corpus delicti when I burn a stop sign. I don't wear a seatbelt. I got a fatty.
Well, if you burned it, there's
It's still no good stuff. Either way, it's still standing.
But the system is set up so that if I am injuring myself, then in all good conscience it must intervene and remind me that I ought to make better choices as a consumer.
Because it's a consumerist society.
And so I must, in the long run, for your benefit, produce love for you to consume. That will purge me.
Which is why you don't want to challenge any claim that come forward, you just want to settle.
That's all. And I must offer that always so I can reprove any others that walk the path. Is the judge on the path with me or trying to push me off my path?
Actually, if you settle, he should be in total acceptance himself.
So when I offer contrition such as acceptance, there ought to be no contention.
They shouldn't even bring you into court, they should just acknowledge that the matter's now settled.
I'm glad you brought that up. I should not go in there. I ought to let my work go in there.
Yeah,
My word speaks for me.
it should all be done on paper before you ever show up.
That's right. Well, you shouldn't
Yeah,
have
they
to show
should.
up.
That's right. Didn't
And
need to
they ought to be, they ought to be sending notice to you, that, you know, thank you for settling this and goodbye.
If you show up, there's one clue there that you already entered the line. You've made a mistake, go back to the drawing board.
Yep.
Retreat.
Or you can show up to ask forgiveness if you made a mistake.
Or direction.
You know, because, yeah.
Qualifying method, offer up contrition.
Mhm.
See, and then basically all you're showing up is just as how you played,
Reserve.
Your Honor.
I'm
This matter was settled, and
hereby,
you're here to
special
ask for
visitation.
forgiveness, what did I do?
Forgiveness if I made
There are
error.
many ways around this.
Mhm.
But you have to
The
settle.
only path you can come from is the path of peace.
Peace and love.
Yeah.
And forgiveness.
He wants you there, and he wants your forgiveness. He's not at fault for trying to do his best
It's
for
his
you.
job.
To try and do his best for his children, as a good father would.
Mhm. It's our fault.
So
Tell that to my wife.
I was just about to say, how does that work for you, Gord?
Actually, Gord, let's maybe do that right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Think she'll get it?
She's in your heart, in the lotus of your heart. And when you think of her and the memories that she and you created, which are the offspring, do you see the smiles on all of them? Do you feel her in your heart and you're purging her anger so that one day you can communicate for the benefit of his children? I see that for you. Now I let it go.
That's magic.
You know how many times I've forgiven her?
Is the way.
I don't need to know that. Why?
Every day I wake up, every day I wake up,
What the fuck are you carrying the guns for? Alright? Alright.
So why get rid of her anger, get rid of your own.
Exactly, the whole thing comes back to forgiving yourself.
I
Forget
can't
about her.
forgive her and I let that go and then the next day I'll wake up and I'll be sitting there and it's this one mind going,
If you can begin to thank her for your
here I am
lessons,
again.
if you can begin to thank her for her lessons, she is the impetus behind this process.
Point back.
In other words, you have a remedy because she forced you to get one.
That's the beautiful thing. It's hard to see it now.
Oh,
Yeah, amen.
she was an angel.
She was an angel.
Hey, let's
A
check.
bit of an avenging angel, but an angel.
If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be here.
That's the beauty of it all.
No, there you go.
Ken and I have the same background.
Crazy, he wouldn't be here if I wasn't here because of that.
Now, that's the love of our life.
Because of that angel.
Angel,
Angel,
I
that,
just said one. I just got one, that's all I'm.
That's all.
I-
close your eyes, look at the children's smiles.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank
the
you,
only
Nikki.
one I haven't seen do this is this guy over here. He just sits there and giggles and giggles, and he's got the world by the tail. I've seen his daughters. I've never heard him sit
These
there.
are,
It's done, it's done, that's great, and it's moved on.
That's all I ever did in the whole divorce.
He went to settle. He
Yeah.
settled.
I sat at a big boardroom table with the judge at one end and me at the other end, my
FCC
lawyer.
process.
it's in the
Pardon
back.
me?
FCC process.
Yeah.
On the case conference.
Yeah.
Aiming at the coronation of peace.
And he said, Mr. American, what do you want today? I said, I want to settle.
Oh, take a pizza.
And he did, didn't you?
And he goes, oh.
He's
You
now
want-
in a position to protect the benefit of the
Yeah.
least or the weakest.
Yeah. And that was like 11 years ago.
How do you